Hey, everybody, welcome to the Queen Comedy Podcast. It's James, and today I have a great guest for you guys. She's a multi-award-winning screenwriter in both short and long-form content. She's garnered 10 first-place awards in national and international screenwriting competitions. She's a script consultant who actually screenwriters seek out to strengthen their scripts, to do editing, to strengthen their character storylines, tighten their scripts up. And the producers have even sent people to her to help improve focus and rewrite their screenplays. She's great with realistic dialogue, unique characters, nonverbal communication in scripts, which you guys know is super hard in a script to do nonverbal stuff. I struggle with that, by the way. And her notes have been frequently praised, and she's optioned writer for 3 feature films, a miniseries, and we have worked on a sitcom it's in post production currently, and we will talk about that on the podcast. So please welcome Miss Jaclyn Whitt. Welcome, Jaclyn.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good to see you again.
I know we sat in these writers' rooms, so we're allowed to talk about it. And normally, you guys, so if you're watching, you see me in a black shirt. We're gonna do a magic trick right now. Hold on. I have a blue shirt on, you guys. I never have a blue shirt on, so it's for our show, the series that we worked on called Fade Away. I look amazing in a V-neck, by the way. I look amazing. This is the last XL, but look at this. This looks great on me. I should wear this all the time. I might roll around in town like this. Anyways, so everyone's like, if you're watching this, you're gonna go, what is happening to James? He's wearing a blue shirt.
We gotta show the back here. Let me just.
Yeah, you show the back.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we put the fun in funerals is what it says. So the show is called Fade Away. It's about a funeral home. It's about the third best funeral home in Polk County, Florida. And it's written the creator is Deanna Lane. She's been on the podcast and she is amazing. And we just had a conversation the other day. We were just talking, her and I were talking. And it's going in post-production, everything's happening. So we bonded over that. But Jaclyn runs Family Friendly Screenwriting, which is a screenwriting company that they have courses, they do coaching, they do consulting. She does a lot of stuff. So since I've talked so much now, welcome, Jaclyn. Besides my intro, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm originally from Canada, which means that I'm funny in a different way. Because the Canadian humor is people always ask me, like, what's the difference between Canadian humor and American humor? And really, it's like Canadians, I think we have a lot of background with the UK, and so like our humor is closer to British humor.
Yeah.
And so or at least it's closer than Americans. And so it's like halfway between. So we have the silliness and the fun of American comedy, but we also have like that witty, intellectual, dry kind of humor from the British side. So it's a good combination.
What's good about it is a lot of great comedic talent has come out of Canada, right? Like you have like Kids in the Hall that came up from there. You have a bunch of stand-ups that have come from there. I mean, literally, Canada has a large amount of comedy, and the Montreal Just for Laughs Festival is one of the biggest comedy festivals in the world, and it's in Canada. French Canada, which, whatever, however you want to deal with it. But it's Canada regardless, right? Are you French? You're not French Canadian. Did I just offend you?
No, I'm not French Canadian, but to all my French Canadian, people, I love you. Like, it's still one country.
They don't consider you, if you're not French Canadian, they don't consider the rest of you the same country. They consider themselves better. I've talked to French Canadians and they think they're better.
Yeah, people outside of Quebec embrace Quebec, and Quebec is like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like that. It's like the girlfriend that you think you like, you think she's into you, but she's really not. She's just like, she's always looking for a better dude. It's like that. That's
right.
That's
yeah, exactly.
So how did you get started in comedy? How did you get started in screenwriting? How did you get started all this? Because it's not an easy path, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. As far as like, when people asked me when I was in elementary school, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was actor, comedian, or run a daycare, because I loved kids, but I loved performing and I loved getting a laugh. Like I was definitely the class clown. As soon as the teacher left the room, I was standing up on my seat and like doing my version of stand up. And that was pretty much anything it took to get a laugh.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And so I started actually doing some script writing when I was 11. A friend of mine who was also very artsy, she said, "Hey, let's write a script together." So we started working on it, and then a couple weeks later, because we're both ADHD, we moved on. But she didn't carry on with the writing, but I kept the book. So I every now and then I'd find the notebook, and I'd kind of carry on with the writing. And so it was one of those things that I did off and on all through my childhood. And I had a lot of opportunities like at school and church and stuff like that to do like skits and whatever. Even like summer camp. Oh man, at summer camp, I would like gather all my friends together and be like, we're gonna do this skit. And I would like write it and we would go and perform it. So, and same with my cousins, like we did that all the time. So I think it was just one of those things that I did because it was in me to do, not that I thought I would pursue it. Because, as I got into my teen years, I got into music. So I thought I was going to pursue music. So writing was just something I did for myself, literally for decades. Like I started writing screenplays in my early 20s. So from the time I was 11 up until now, which is a few decades later, we'll just leave it at that. I wrote. And so it's only been in the last few years that I started to write on the professional side. But like all of that other time was just me loving it and doing it because I loved it.
Yeah, I think a lot of writing has to start with what you love. Like when I was a kid too, I would write in class and I would write like comic book stuff because I really love comic books. I want to be a comic book writer. And one of my best friends, his name is Royal. He was a great artist. So we would be at the boys club after school. I would write out the script and write the stuff, and he would draw it, and then I would go in and fill in all the bubble stuff. And we just made these like, and we would sell them to other kids for like a quarter or whatever. I remember that. Like we made copies and then we would sell them for like a quarter. And so it was like the first thing we did. And then I discovered Kevin Smith in high school. And my first screenplay was a ripoff of like Clerks and Mallrats, but also dang it, what was it? It's the movie, it's the book about the Scopes monkey trial. I can't remember what it is. Something in the Sun, I think, or whatever. Anyways, so we had to, for a class project, we had to go film something. So we needed a script. So I had the copy. There was a book, and I have it out there somewhere. It was a copy of Clerks and Chasing Amy scripts in a book that you could buy. You could buy like Barnes and Noble or whatever. So I used that, and I used my Oma's old typewriter, and I hand typed and formatted a screenplay based on that book and like what I was doing to write this. And it was like 8 pages or 10 pages. It wasn't like super duper long, but it took forever. And I remember doing it and thinking, this was cool. I wish there was software that did this, and I wish I had a computer. And then a
How
few
old
years,
were you?
I was like 15 or 16. I was like not very old at that
Oh,
point.
that you were determined.
I,
Wow.
I wanted to be cool. Like I wanted to be a film. I want to be like the next Quentin Tarantino, except for I'm not cool enough to do that. I like comedy stuff. I like things that make me laugh. But I I was a lonely high school kid. Everybody, I would go to Blockbuster, which probably none of you even know about anymore. I would go to Blockbuster on Friday night after school. I would rent like 10 movies, and then I would go home and spend all weekend watching movies, and then return them Sunday nights. That was my weekend. Everyone else was partying. They were like, "Where were you this weekend?" Well, I was watching 18 different movies that you've probably
Right.
never heard of in your life.
Yeah,
Because
and with that, we'd go and you'd get a better rate if you rented more, right? So you could like get 7 for 7 days, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And I was from a larger family, so that worked out because everybody got something.
right.
But the problem is that we only had the one VCR. And so, whoever was watching something meant somebody else wasn't watching something. And we weren't allowed to watch TV during the school week. And
Oh
so, when were
wow.
we supposed to watch these movies? Sometimes it'd be at the end of the week, and we're like, I still haven't watched it.
That's funny. Well, what I did was I worked for my dad, and I saved up to buy a TV and a DVD player because those were like the two things. And I got him to put him in my room, and then I would just literally sit on my bed and just watch movies all weekend.
Wow.
Like they would have to come out and they're like, "Hey, it's dinner time," and I'm like, "What? I just started a movie." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But it was like my 10th movie of the day, or whatever and stuff. And so that's what I did. Like, sorry, I was a nerdy kid, and I can also still collect the comic books. I still collect comic books, so I understand like that desire and drive to write to get things out. You do it, but then also I don't know if this happened to you. People will step on that. Like I had teachers who would be like, "Hey, you can't write in class," and I'm like, "But all my work's done, all my things are done," and so they would take that away from me. And then that's how I got into being funny, because at first I was like introverted. I'll just write, get it out that way. Then I have no outlet. Well, now I'm going to look around. There's kids here who need entertaining. Let's have fun, you know? And I got in trouble a lot as a kid for that.
Oh, I got in a lot of trouble. I was like one of those students that the teachers loved me because I was adorable. Like I was actually charismatic and like I was likable. It's not like I was the annoying,
Right.
always annoying kind of kid, but like I would interrupt them a lot and I would comment on things a lot. And then they knew like as soon as they were out of the room, like that was it. All bets are off. You know?
I had one teacher that disliked me so much that she made me write the dictionary all year. So I had to go and write the dictionary. Anytime I wasn't doing schoolwork, I was writing the dictionary. Like I would have to take dictionary, copy it word for line for line. Yeah. So I learned a lot of words,
Uh-huh.
but
My mom did that for me with not with a dictionary, but with the book of Proverbs, because
oh,
apparently I was not showing wisdom in my choices. I was
oh,
making some pretty bad choices when I was probably like 13 or 14. And so my mom made me write out the entire book of Proverbs.
I know. It's funny because I don't know, we're probably similar vintage of age, but like I don't see my kids making bad choices ever. Like my oldest daughter, like she's like, "Oh, I was gonna go to this party with my friends," and I'm like, "Yeah, go. Just call me if you need a ride, and don't get in the car with anybody that's drinking or whatever." She's like, "Nah, I'd rather just be home. They're gonna do stupid stuff, and I don't want to be involved." And I'm like, "What's
Right.
happening?" And she told me recently, like she was at homecoming, and one of her friends was like, "Hey, we're gonna go drink. Do you want to come with us?" And she's like, pass. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna go home now. See you guys later. And I was like 10 kids went, and she's the only one that stayed. I was like, first of all, you overcame peer pressure because I know that they were like, come on, come on. And two, we would have never known the difference. Honestly, like she has no curfew. I don't put anything on, but she doesn't do anything. So sometimes I'm like, hey, you should go hang out with friends. Like you got to go, like push them
Hmm.
out of the nest type thing. So
Yeah.
it's good. Now,
Yeah. I had one like that, but the other one, he went out and
both of mine are good. They don't ever act up. But professionally, how did you get your start as a professional writer? Because that's always the hard part, right? And you're not a WGA writer, right? You're not
no.
right, and I'm not WGA either. But I consider myself a professional writer. I've been paid lots of money to write stuff. So same for you. How did you get started on that path?
Okay, so I kind of approached it where I thought in the beginning, like I knew that I could write well. So then my next step was to prove it. And so I actually took advantage of festivals and competitions and stuff like that. And so that's why, I've actually, if you calculated all of the stuff that I've won, it's over 30. But that was my strategy, was to put my stuff out there, win competitions, because then when I go to pitch to a producer, I'm like, by the way, this script has won 7 awards.
Right.
Like it makes it look better. And then also connecting with people who are wanting to produce something because they, like a producer who wants to also break into the industry. And so they need to have something good to produce. And so I did some work with them, and even actors, like actors that wanted to do a demo reel. And so they need a 1 minute reel, right? Like a story, just 1 minute. And so how do you have something compelling that's in 1 minute? So I'm like, oh, I'll take that challenge on. And so I've done that, like I think for maybe 4 or 5 different actors, and worked with different up and coming producers, kind of thing, and just start getting some stuff done. And then that way, like my name gets out there. And so one of the ones in Canada, there's this guy from Ontario. He's originally from Egypt. And so he was already a producer, a successful producer in Egypt, and so he wanted to develop himself here in the United, or in North America. So he needed a screenwriter because he was used to writing the screenplays, but he just didn't feel like his English was going to be up to par, right? So I met him online and I sent him some of my short scripts, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I really like it. And so let's work on something together." And so we've done that. And then he recommended me for other people from the Middle East that were producing something. So I don't know if I mentioned this to you when we were like organizing to do this today, but so there's actually the mini series that I'm working on or have worked on. It's out of Jordan.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I'm working internationally now.
That's awesome. I had one that I made. We started it as a series, and actually the producer's really great, and he wanted me to write drama. And I said, look, I don't drama's not my thing. I don't do drama. I do thriller. I do action comedy. That's fine. I can do horror, whatever, but I like to keep it in the comedy realm. And he's like, no, you can do this. And I was like, I turned him down like 3 times. Like, no, I don't want to do it. But he's like, listen, I love your stuff. I love things you produced. I love your writing. I honestly, I think you could do this. And I was like, all right. So I tried to like still negotiate my way out of it. It didn't work. We wrote a series. He loved it. When it came time to editing, they wanted to take that and edit it into a feature film. So they took all the episodes, which were chronological, so it would have made sense, into a feature film, because what they did was they ended up shooting part of it in Africa and part of it in England. And so
Oh,
then I had to go back and rewrite some of it into a full feature film so they could shoot scenes that would link everything a little better to make more sense if you're watching it at one time.
right.
So we did that. It was supposed to come out last year, and it still hasn't come out yet. I'm waiting for it, but I've seen a cut of it, and it's fantastic. It's like really gritty. It's really well done. It's like espionage and international stuff. It's like really good. I'm not telling you it was his idea. He did a great job. I just like was the vessel he worked through, because I couldn't have written it otherwise. There's no way that I was gonna write a thriller, action, whatever, criminal crime drama movie. Like
Yeah.
it's not my wheelhouse, right? If you would have said
Yeah.
right along, right, okay, we're good. You know what I'm saying? Like I could do that, no
Yeah.
problem. But right,
I have a project too that is I'm trying to get out of. Like I've written the pilot, and it's like going to be for teens, and it's like, half-hour episodes. I've written the first 2 episodes because it's like a continuation for the pilot. But I kind of want to get out of it. Like I don't know how to write this particular genre.
is
Because
it what kind of genre of teen stuff is it? Like, is it
okay,
teen drama or teen comedy? Like, what is it?
well, for one, it's more like she's not a police officer, but it's more like the style of police drama.
Okay,
Her father's a police officer, but she kind of has this a special ability that she's able to help people that are in danger, and so she goes and does that, and basically has the bad guys to hand over to her dad when she shows up, or when he shows up. And so it's one of those ones where I'm like, I don't really know how to piece this together, because I do comedy and I do drama, and like family drama. I can do some action, and some of my stuff has action in it, but the police drama, like, and mystery, like that's something I haven't really tackled yet, and it
yeah.
really does need to be approached a very specific way. So I'm encouraging him to like bring on other writers, because right now it's just me and him, and he's more of an ideas guy, not necessarily the actually write the script kind of guy. So it's just me, and I kind of feel like ah,
If you need a mystery writer, I have someone for you. Hit me up after this. Who's great. He wrote a book that's a comedy mystery, and it's fantastic. It's really,
oh,
and it does
nice.
really well. So that's a good one. Also, you know what that made me think of? Have you ever seen the show Veronica Mars? Did you ever see it?
Yeah, yeah, it's
That's
like
what
that.
I mean, that's what it made me think of right away. So
Yeah, yeah,
so
very
you got
similar.
your first writing gig, and you got paid, and then you were like, oh, I can do this, and you started getting referred, and then now you still do professional writing, but now you moved into the teaching coaching space. That is something that I want to do more of, and I am terrified of doing it, to be honest with you. Well, here's why. I know that when I say that, people go, oh, why are you scared? Because I'm nobody, right? Or at least I think I'm nobody, right? I do this podcast so I can give information to other people, but I'm not Chris Rock or Jerry Seinfeld or Dave Chappelle or whatever. Like, I don't have a stand-up comedy special. I don't have an album. I don't have anything out there yet. I'm working on those things, but I'm not there yet. This is the beginning of my journey. Who am I to tell another person how to do X, Y, and Z if I don't know? Like, I would never tell anyone this is how you record a Netflix special. Why I can't tell you that. I've never done it, but I can tell you how to record your set, write jokes, do whatever, those things. So I feel like this weird semi-imposter syndrome. So how did you get past that, or do you have that still?
Well, I don't have that, but I do know what to say. I can help you. Okay. Do you have what it takes to get people to the next step, to their next level?
Yes.
Then you're not an imposter. Okay. So I'm not teaching people how to be, um, you know, like I'm not teaching people that are already high up professionals. Most of what I do when I'm teaching, I am teaching people that want to break into the industry. So either they're learning how to write a script when they've never even looked at one before, or they've written multiple and gotten nowhere with it. And so they kind of need to back up and figure it out again. So that's where my focus is. I love teaching beginners because I love setting them up so that they can actually like grow and achieve without stumbling the way that I have at times. Because when I realized, okay, I want to pursue this as a career, I went and found a mentor, and
Right.
he told me the things that I was doing well and the things that I completely missed teaching myself because I was self-taught for so long.
Right.
So I want to help people avoid going through that and just learn it right from the beginning. So for you, figure out what it is, what is that next step that you can get people to, and you can confidently approach that. And then that way there is no room for imposter syndrome because you know you can do it.
Yeah. And that's the truth. I do like teaching new people because I've had several mentors. I've sat down with tons of people, from Gene Perrette, who used to write for Bob Hope, who gave me some of my first comedy advice, to, working with Craig Shoemaker and him working on jokes with me, and all these Robert G. Lee, and like so many people. And I've opened on the road for people, and I've been paid to travel around the world to do stand up. So I know what I'm doing. I can teach people that. I just have not got to the get a dry bar special, get an album, get a Netflix special level yet. Once I get to there, then I probably will feel more confident to go, I can teach you how to get there too. But at this point, I'm like, I haven't got to the mountaintop. So I'm the Sherpa that's only made it up to like the first level of Everest, like that secondary base camp where you're like, everyone looks and goes, there's the top. And you're like, yeah, I don't go to that place. Like, that's not where I've been yet. That's what
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
still
like.
working on that one. No,
Yeah.
I totally relate to that because like I don't have features produced yet. I have some in production, pre-production, so I know things are moving forward. And one of my features in pre-production right now just had auditions last week, so that was really cool. That was so exciting. Thank you. But if you keep in mind that if you're advertising that you will take people to the top, then of course there's
Yeah.
problems with
No, I
that.
would never, I
But
would never do that.
if you're advertising that I can get you here, well, you know you can do that. You've proven you can do that,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm helping people to write an award-winning screenplay. I know how to do that. And I'm helping people to know how to pitch to the right producer. I know how to do that.
There you go. Well, that makes sense. That's all logical. Yeah, that makes sense then. Because I can teach people how to write their first 5-minute set. I can teach people how to build on those sets. I can teach people how to write a opening set, a feature set. I can teach people how to be an MC. All these things are things I help people produce. I can help people produce shows, which make them money and they get more stage time. So all those things I've done, how to be a good opener, how to be a good road comedian, and be a good, because half of being on the road as a comedian is just hanging out with people, being a fun hang, not being a weirdo or, you know, I mean, honestly, I've had like comedians I've gone on the road with. They're like, you're my favorite person to hang out with. You're so low key. And I'm like, I'm not here to bother you, dude. Like, whatever you want to do. We're here to have fun, right? We're here to make people laugh. So the rest of the day shouldn't be stressing you out. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you do at Family Friendly Screenwriting? What kind of classes do you offer? What do you offer people? How can they find you? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have like a few different things that we do. Like, so 4 times a year, we have a screenwriting boot camp, which is 3 master classes on one day, which you were at our last one and you were teaching everybody about comedy and how to use comedy in every kind of genre of script and how that, helps a script, which was great. Everybody loved it. You were very well organized.
Thank you.
I think you're a great teacher.
I try. I really do.
Yeah, no, for real, for real. It shows that you put the effort in for sure. So yeah, there's that. That's not even a very expensive one, and it goes along with. It's part of our festival for peer review. So if you have a script and you want to get feedback on it without having to pay an arm and a leg, you can get peer review feedback on it. So with this festival, you end up reviewing 3 other people's screenplays. And it's going to be people that are in the same category as you. So if you have a short, you're not going to have to review a feature, right? So it works out well. And people are going to be at the same level. So for people that are already professionals, they're going to be reviewing other people's that are professionals. And then you get 3 reviews back in the end. So everybody's, putting in the time and giving each other that feedback. And it's so amazing. to have that, because you pay at least $150 if you want to hire somebody to do that. So if you're, especially if you're at the beginning part of writing your script, maybe you're only on like the first, second, or third draft or something like that, and you're like, well, maybe I can work with a peer first, you know, it costs less, I'll get 3 reviews back, that'll give me something to work on. And then once I have it really polished, where I feel like, okay, this is the best that I know how to get it with the resources I have, then you go and you pay a professional to give you that feedback. So then you're really getting your money's worth at that point.
Yeah.
I do also teach beginner classes. Like just this past week, we started the next round of the Screenwriting Foundations class. It's a 7-week program where you learn all of what you need to learn in order to write a script. So anybody who has not ever written a screenplay and they want to learn how, or if they've written screenplays and not made any kind of headway with it, you know, and you want to back up and make sure you have the foundation, then that's what this course is for. And by the end of it, you will have the outline for your screenplay so that you're ready to start writing.
That's awesome. Now, do you ever recommend like a specific screenwriting software? Is there something that you prefer to use or whatever, or do you just do the like Final Draft, like as the industry standard type one?
Yeah, I do use Final Draft.
Yeah.
And here's what I have to say about that. There are a multitude of options for sure. But here's the thing. If you submit a screenplay that was written in Celtics, or I mean, you pick any of the other ones, to a producer, there's a chance that they're going to ask you to go rewrite it in Final Draft and then submit it to them again. If you submit it to them in Final Draft, they're not going to go ask you to write it in Celtics. So I kind of feel like, I don't know if they're officially the industry standard, but really they are.
And if you don't want to buy Final Draft, you can always use Fade and Pro, which imports and exports from Final Draft and never has issues. That's my favorite software.
Oh.
It's like $90 forever, like $90 one time forever. And Rogue One was written in it. Like a ton of Chernobyl was written in it. Like a ton of movies and stuff was written in it, because you can import and export from Final Draft. So if you want to save your, I don't know how much Final Draft costs, because every time there's a new one, it's like $180 or something or whatever for whatever the newest version is. And then it's like every 2 years, and then there's bugs or whatever. I had it. I was like, I hate it.
Oh, interesting, because I haven't actually had to rebuy mine.
Well,
If you want a version, I guess,
yeah.
I ended up getting mine given to me. But even with that, though, my old version, it still works.
Yeah.
Just that when they have upgrades, like so the current version, I can actually do like a collaboration with someone. Let's say if we both have this new version, we can be working online literally at the same time. I can see your cursor moving, you can see my cursor moving. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to go work on the opening scene, and I'll be like, cool, I'm working on the midpoint right now, and we can go back and check with each other on stuff. Like it's all happening at the same time.
Fade and Pro's had that since 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. I did not know that.
Fade and Pro is my favorite. I'm not kidding you. It's my favorite thing. So that drama that I did, the other guy had Fade and Pro. I talked him into it, and we both had it. And we were doing the same thing. We were just going back, and he would like put notes like, "Hey, fix this thing," or change how this is said or whatever. And we would just go back and forth, because it has a collaboration button on there, and it actually, what it does is it links it only for that moment that you're in there together. So you collaborate and then you close that link, you have to do a reconnect on the collaboration. It starts a new session, and it sends like a new code and everything. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things. And also it uses note cards. So when you're writing your scene heading, it keeps them all in note cards, so you can go shift them around, no problem, and move stuff wherever you want. It's literally my favorite thing in the whole world. And I use it. I've written comic books in it. I've written sketches, screenplays, audio for dramas, commercials, literally everything under the sun in Fade and Pro. This has been brought to you by Fade and Pro. No, it hasn't. It hasn't.
No doubt. I was about to ask.
No, it hasn't. Well, they should sponsor me though. I tell everybody it's my favorite, and for like $80 or $90, and you have it forever. It's like, that's a no brainer to me. And they give updates. They do updates and stuff all the time. They do new templates for everything. So anything new that comes out, AV clips or AV style, which you can use for commercials, comes like all that stuff. Now, where can people find you? Where can they go check out the classes, all that stuff? What's the best place to reach you?
All right, go to writemyscript.academy and you can download a free PDF and it's going to get you started on screenwriting. We actually have like 3 different options. So you choose which category you are, whether you're a new writer, teen, or maybe you're an author that you want to turn your book into a movie, because that is also something that we provide education for and opportunities. So yeah, if you go there, download whatever free PDF you want, and my contact info will be there. Our website is familyfriendlyscreenwriting.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I'll put all that stuff in the show notes. I did the opposite. I took a pilot that I wrote and I converted it into a book where I took because it's about a teen monster hunter and his family who are monster hunters. So think of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Modern Family is basically
okay.
the way it is. It's a silly version of a weird family that hunts monsters, and it's just a funny show. And I was like, how do I get this to more people? I was like, oh, I should just turn it into a novel. I'll just turn the first 2 episodes into a novel, and then people can read the novel, and then hopefully people will like it and say, hey, yeah, there's already the first 2 episodes written, or how many ever episodes. If it gains traction, I just keep writing the episodes, converting them into books, and then I have the entire series now. And you just go, hey, here we go. Here's all the screenplays based on all the books. It's already ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
and do you find it easier to write the script first and then the book?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would too, because I have a hard time writing books. For me, that feels like such a big project. It's overwhelming. Yeah. But like a screenplay, I'm like, yeah, no problem.
Well, yeah, screenplay there's a format to it, right? It's kind of like you have to go these steps. You have to have a location, then you have to have, the action line, then you have to have who's talking, then the dialogue, then maybe another action line or whatever. And it just kind of feels like there's a structure to it. But a book, you could just write however you want. And at the end of it, you can read it and go, what the heck did I just write? This is gibberish, I've done that. Or you get so excited, you write the first chapter and you're like, well, now where do I go? With a screenplay, there has to be like, if you've written screenplays enough, that flow. So it's kind of weird. You would think you would know it with a novel, but it just feels heavier. Feels like a harder thing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's too many options. Like I do like the rules that come with writing for screenplays.
Agreed. I'm going to do National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo or whatever it is, I think is what it's called. I don't know. I just messed that up. But anyways, I'm going to try to write a novel this year. I have like 7 started novels and none of them are complete. They're all like 1 to 5 chapters somewhere in between that.
Yeah, I'm about not that many. I have 1 novel that I've started and even when I read, I'm not much of a fiction reader. When I read, I'm reading because I want to learn something. And so I'm mostly nonfiction. So I also have a book that I'm writing about screenwriting.
There you go.
Things that I've learned that have affected my life through screenwriting. So
like everything I needed to know in life, I learned from screenwriting. Like, have you heard that?
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about doing something like that for stand-up comedy. Like everything I learned in life, I learned from stand-up comedy, because I think it's like I learned from kindergarten is like the first book of the original version of that. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jaclyn, for being on the podcast. Check out Fadeaway when it's going to come out. We're both Fadeaway writers. Deanne, you can check out the show. Check this episode out, and I'll reach out to Deanne after this and tell her what's up. Thank you guys for listening. Please go check out Jaclyn's site. I will link everything in the show notes. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.